Imagine you get an inquiry and it's from a dream client. You've purchased the perfect email templates, crafted the ultimate response, hit send, and then nothing. No reply, no explanation, just radio silence. If you've ever been ghosted by an inquiry, you're not alone. And today we're diving into why it happens and what you can do about it. Welcome to Stoked, the podcast that helps adventure elopement photographers hit six figures and beyond in their businesses without hustling on social media. I'm your host, Megan McPhail, a former burnt-out emergency veterinarian that quit my hard-earned career to become an elopement photographer. Now I'm living a life I absolutely love, full of travel, adventure, and financial abundance, and I am hell-bent on helping you do the same. Are you ready to start booking out your calendar with dream couples in breathtaking locations and feeling genuinely stoked about your elopement photography business, life, and bank account? Then let's dive into this week's episode. Hey, it's your host, Megan McPhail.
And your co-host, Todd Reedy.
And today's episode is all about ghosting, and I want to share a hard truth right off the bat that ghosting happens to everyone. Newbies, pros, photographers charging $10,000. It's just part of the game. So I want you to understand why people ghost. I want you to shift your mindset so you're not taking it so personally and what you can do about it. There's really 4 types of eloping couples. And I want to break these down because this is really important for understanding why you're getting ghosted. And I've talked about this on other podcasts, but I think that it's also the perfect time to talk about it again. Like, you never talk about it enough. So before we get into the ghosts, I want to talk about your ideal couples. They're not going to ghost you. They're going to be excited and ready to book a phone call with you and reply to your emails. They are going to be engaged in the process. They're going to book that consult call with you, and everything is going to feel really easy about booking them. You don't have to necessarily chase them down and worry about them because they want you as their photographer. And that's one type of eloping couple. That's the couple we want to book.
And the timing there is like just perfect, right? So it's not rushed. It's not like, oh, I got to respond. It's just like a natural timing that seems natural to you as the service provider. Your couple's not rushed, and it'll just go at a nice, even, comfortable pace for everybody.
Yeah, and when you book your ideal couples, you'll know it because it's going to feel effortless, right? And then there are the price shopper couples. Their number one priority in life is getting the cheapest price on their elopement photography. So they don't really form a connection with you. They typically don't trust you. They are more about kind of like a transactional process with you. They oftentimes talk about just wanting an hour or two of coverage, and they just need a few photos and stuff like that. And they are not our ideal couples. And they tend to be really vocal too about how they think your pricing is too high and stuff like that. And so again, they're not our ideal people. There's also red flag couples. And those are the ones where in your gut, you feel like this is not my person or not my people. And they can oftentimes be demanding or question your process or question your pricing. They might try to push your boundaries, like want to schedule their phone call at a really inopportune time for you. Or maybe they even, nitpick your contract and wonder why they have to pay you while you're hiking or driving and not taking photos or something like that. So they also aren't ideal. And I think we've all can raise our hands that we've dealt with price shoppers and red flags.
Yeah, and the red flag folks, they may start out looking or feeling like ideal clients. Maybe like on the first initial consult, they may seem like the perfect fit for you. But then maybe as you like kind of learn more about them, they learn more about you. And like as you get into the planning process, maybe the red flags like come late. And don't think that's anything that you're doing wrong or that you need to change. It just may be that they were waiting to throw their red flag.
Yeah, exactly. They might be trying to hide their red flag until later, but your gut is going to tell you, your intuition is going to tell you like, I don't know about this couple. And we've all booked red flags. And I think in hindsight is always 2020 when you look back and you're like, oh yeah, that did kind of feel a little off. I feel like we had a couple like that recently. So that's another type of eloping couple. And then the fourth type is ghosts. They inquire and then nothing, no response, no explanation, and they disappear for a lot of different reasons. So if you think about why they may be inquired with you and don't follow up and don't respond to you, there's just many, many reasons. One could be that they're jumping the gun a little bit. Maybe they're not even engaged or they just got engaged and they haven't really sat down and talked about what they really want. So they're just kind of like firing off inquiries. Maybe they got overwhelmed and hit pause on the whole planning stuff and don't respond to you. I envision a lot of times they probably inquired with a ton of photographers and vendors and they forgot who's who and they just kind of like gave up. Or maybe they didn't really like look at your website very closely and they realize kind of too late that you're out of their budget, which is fine. Maybe their plans change. Maybe they're busy professionals. There's a lot of reasons why they might ghost. So one of the things that we have found from doing data on hundreds of photographers, like collecting data from so many people over the years, and our own data, is that 30 to 50% of inquiries ghost. That's a lot of ghosts that we have to deal with. And it doesn't mean anything against you or your email response. It doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. It's just that, again, they're overwhelmed or they inquired with too many people or they're changing plans or they haven't even talked to their significant other. They got too excited. And now they're like, okay, I can't respond to these people because I don't know what the heck I'm doing.
Yeah. And as the service provider, like obviously we live in this world of inquiries and like responding and things, but like for couples that are eloping or getting married for the very first time, like they don't know what they're doing. So like Megan said, maybe they just got engaged and they feel like they've heard like their wedding friends or their friends that are getting married, like a traditional wedding, that they have to book their people like, 12 months in advance. And so maybe they start firing off like Megan mentioned. And yeah, it can be confusing. It can be overwhelming. And so like nothing against the ghosters either. We, Megan and I, like at our old house, we looked out getting like a retaining wall built. And we reached out to a bunch of people just kind of like throwing darts at the wall to see kind of what prices people had and like just to learn information and the timing and different things. So like it may not be anything personally to you. You may have just got lost in the weeds or maybe you weren't the right fit for them as they did more research. And that's a good thing, right?
Yeah. You don't want to book people who aren't right for you.
Yeah. And even if they realize between when they inquire and then when they get on a phone call with you that you're not the right person, yeah, common courtesy, you'd hope that they would say, hey, we're not the right fit. But it's better than them booking a call with you, you wasting an hour and scheduling your day around them just to know that, oh, they're not the right fit either. So, yeah. I mean, there's pros and cons to all this stuff. And we do take it personally, or we tend to take it personally, but we shouldn't.
Yeah. I've definitely ghosted people.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. I mean, my email inbox is insane. I get so much stuff in my email. I lose emails or can't make a decision, or I don't have the heart to tell them no because I avoid conflict, and like, if you imagine, a lot of eloping couples are introverted people, and I just put myself in their shoes and I'm like, man, I've definitely ghosted people before. So either intentionally or unintentionally. And I know it's not nice, but like, man, I have a lot of stuff going on. We all have a lot of stuff going on. So I see, in Facebook groups and on Instagram and Threads, I see all this talk where it's like, oh, it's so rude to ghost and they owe you an explanation or a response or something like that. And I don't agree with that. Like if somebody ghosts me, that's still an answer. And I'm always going to think the best in them. And I've done it myself. So how can I be mad at somebody for doing something I've done? I'm sure everybody listening has ghosted somebody at some point. I've ghosted people I went on dates with before Todd. Like, I'm a ghost sometimes.
Yeah, and you've also been doing this for a while. So I do know that like when I first started, you get that inquiry, hits your inbox, and like, yeah, you put a lot of eggs in that basket, literally just on an email that could have been thrown out in 2 seconds, right? So it is easier said than done. But yeah, I mean, an inquiry is just that. It's like someone probing to see if you're the right fit. And
it may or may not work out. And 30 to 50% of the time, it's going to end up with no response from the couple that inquired. So that's just how it goes. Hey photographer, do you dream of having a successful elopement photography business but don't know where to start? Imagine having the confidence to double or triple your prices, booking your calendar solid with dream couples and breathtaking locations, and feeling genuinely stoked about your business, your life, and your bank account? Then I'd like to introduce you to STOKED Academy, the go-to membership community for adventure elopement photographers that are ready to scale their businesses to 6 figures and beyond, all without hustling on social media. In STOKED Academy, you'll get access to everything you need to build a 6-figure business, like mastering marketing strategies, pricing for profit, elopement planning, worksheets, templates, spreadsheets, and so much more. Plus, you'll connect with a positive, supportive community of elopement photographers who are as passionate as you are. And the best part? It's insanely affordable, like less than the cost of a new memory card for your camera. Plus, as a member, you'll get to join me for a monthly group coaching call where we dive deep into strategies that will take your business to the next level. If this sounds awesome, then head over to stokedacademy.com to learn more about the membership and join us. I can't wait to see you in there. And what I notice is when inquiries are scarce for a photographer and you're only getting like 1 or 2 a month or something like that, or maybe you haven't gotten any in a long time and one comes in and it sounds perfect and you get so excited and you're like, finally, I'm going to book something. And then they ghost you. Like, it's really hard to not take that personally. And you start overanalyzing everything. Like, maybe it was my email. Maybe I need to share more of my value in the email, or should I have sent a better follow-up, or like maybe it's my pricing. Like, you get really in your head about it, but the truth is it's just not about you. Those are all things you should troubleshoot and improve over time. But when you're only getting a handful of inquiries every once in a while, you're going to be more attached to that. Whereas if you're getting like 20 or 30 inquiries a month and half of those ghost, you're probably like, oh, thank God. I didn't want to get on a consult call with 30 people anyway. So you can really reframe it and kind of detach from the outcome and realize your job isn't to book every inquiry. It's only to book the right ones, and the right ones should feel effortless. You shouldn't have to chase them down. Although, sometimes our ideal clients don't necessarily do everything super quick. It still might take them 5 days to sign a contract or something. Because again, these are busy people who they're probably eloping because they're busy and they don't want to have all the stress of planning a wedding. And then also realizing that it's a numbers game. So if 30 to 50% of inquiries are going to ghost, you need a lot more inquiries than you think in order to book out your calendar and get your dream clients and stuff like that. And the best way to be less emotionally attached to each inquiry that comes in is to get a lot of inquiries coming in.
Well, duh, Megan. Tell us more.
Yeah. So I don't want you to overanalyze or take it personally. I do want you to follow up with people. I think that including like a follow-up process with your inquiries is best because, again, people get busy, and the more touch points you have with a couple, the more likely they are to book. I've also found studies showing that if you reply to an inquiry within an hour, you're 7 times more likely to book that inquiry. That's not for photographers specifically, because there's really I don't know anybody besides us collecting data on photographers, but that's something to think about. Like, the only thing I'd really stop what I'm doing to answer an email, the only time I'd ever do that is for an inquiry. But then have a follow-up sequence where maybe like 48 hours later, you reach back out to them, and then a week later, and then maybe 2 weeks later. And again, there's no hard and fast rules where it's like, oh my God, how do I do this? What do I say? Like, you're fine. I get that all the time from my coaching students where they want to know exactly when and how to follow up. And like, you can just be a person in your emails and have roughly 48 hours, roughly 1 week, roughly 2 weeks. And in those emails, Just say like, hey, I know life is busy. I just wanted to follow up on your inquiry. Please schedule a phone call here with me, blah, blah, blah. That's really all you have to do. And if you want to throw in a fun GIF to show off your personality, or link to your Instagram to see some of your recent work, or link to a blog post or a gallery specifically for those people, that could be great. But the key is to have some kind of follow-up process that you can track, that you can monitor how many people are ghosting you, how many people are scheduling phone calls, how many people are booking, where these inquiries are coming from. You want to have all of that mapped out. And one of the best ways, I talk about this all the time, one of the best ways to get more inquiries quickly is through Google Ads. So I'm going to drop my free training in the show notes, because when you're getting more inquiries, you don't have to worry about ghosts as much. And that's really the biggest thing I want you to take from this, is that there's no way for you to eliminate ghosting completely from your business. It's just going to happen. And I don't want you taking it personally and thinking that you're no good, or your pricing is no good, or there's something wrong with you as a photographer, because that's not it. It's really just comes down to a numbers game. And then the more inquiries you get, the more ideal clients are going to hit your inbox instead of ghosts, red flags, and price shoppers, because those are all going to hit your inbox too. So head to the show notes, grab my free training on Google Ads. If you've been nervous about Google Ads, that free training, it's a video, it's about an hour-long video, and I kind of take you through why they work so well and why you shouldn't be afraid of them, and why it's going to totally change your business. Because if you're only getting a couple inquiries, it's really hard to not be emotionally attached to those. And the chances of them ghosting is high. And I don't want you thinking that you suck. I don't want you to think that you're not a good photographer, or your prices are too high, or that your emails aren't good enough just because you're having a bad response rate to the limited number of inquiries that you're getting. So grab my training. Remember that there's 4 different types of couples that are going to hit your inbox, and you got to weed through them. The ideal couples, they're going to be easy and effortless and fun to book. The red flags are going to make your hair stand up on the back of your neck, and intuitively you're going to think that they're not right for you. The price shoppers are going to be very vocal that your prices are too high, and I'm going to tell you right now, they're not.
And don't give a discount.
Don't give a discount. Yeah. And the ghosts are going to ghost. And once you start having lots of inquiries, you're going to be happy that some of them don't give you the runaround. So grab my free training to increase your inquiries. I'm linking to it in the show notes. And start running some Google ads so that you can welcome some ghosts into your life instead of agonizing over them. We'll see you guys next week. Bye. Thanks so much for joining us on this week's episode of Stoked. If you enjoyed the show and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe, leave a review, and tell a friend. If you're looking for more inspiring elopement photography content, check us out on Instagram at Megan McPhail. And if you'd like to hear more about my business coaching and how I can personally help you hit 6 figures as an elopement photographer, then check out my website at www.meganmcphail.com.